Okay, recording is on. So I'll go now and share my screen and show you. And let's start making trees with the first method that I mentioned. Okay, and here's a little bit of background sounds. My son is just waking up. Blender. Just a minute. Se kahvi pitäisi olla melko tuoretta. Okay, there we have it. And I'll have just a general file. And I'm not going to do anything with this cube. So I'm just going to click X and delete it. Then what I want to start with is one vertex. And so I click on Shift and A to add a new object. And what I want is here, a single vert. And yes, I add a single vertex only. And if you don't have this, then you're probably missing some add-on with these extra objects. But you can also create a single vertex by creating a cube and then or maybe a plane, and then just deleting all the other vertices so that you have only one left. It's up to you how you do it. But here is the single vertex now. And it's so small. Yeah, and it should be small, of course. But it's there. And what I need for this one is a couple of modifiers. So I go to the modifier tab. And where is it? There. I need a modifier called skin. And this will make like an actual skin over the object. Let's see how it looks like. It looks like a cube. And here I click smooth shading. So yeah, it's still a cube, but it's smooth. I don't need symmetry, by the way. I'm not making any symmetrical object, but a tree, and they are known for not being symmetrical in the way that we think of animals. And let's put a little bit of branch smoothing there. Yeah. And it's still a cube, so I will add another modifier here. And that's, yeah, should it be a subdivision surface or multi-resolution? Let's use a multi-res. Oh, and yeah, I see that the multi-res was not a good idea. It should have been the other one, the subdivision surface. Okay, so that's working fine. It goes under the skin. And this is what it should look like. A roundish object. And I'll make it a little bit more subdivisions here so that it's smoother. Okay, I think that's good. So now, how do I make a tree out of this weird ball?
Okay, so did you start with one vertex or one edge? I kind of missed that.
Just one vertex.
Oh, okay, that explains my Petka.
Yeah, but the Petka, it's also not a bad thing because we do more geometry here. So I need to go to edit mode, and I am in edit mode already. You can see that. And what I need here is I need to extrude more vertices from this root. So actually that's not the root, but the stem. I think the word is stem for the tree, where the tree starts from. Is that so? Because I want to make roots from the stem, and I want to make the, well, what's the rungo?
Trunk.
Trunk, yes, exactly, thank you. Okay, so let's make the trunk maybe first. So I click E for extrusion, and I start drawing stuff out, and now you get this sort of sausage shape, which goes all over the place, no matter. I can always make it go elsewhere. And so this method is best for trees that are kind of old and don't have much leaves. So I want the trunk to be a little bit gnarly, like this sort of shape. And what I also need is a couple of roots from here. So I go back to my original vertex and extrude roots. And I have to be careful that it won't look strange, so that the mesh that it makes looks nice. And you might notice that these are very uniform shapes. Okay, like the wonkiness, I mean, this kind of thing. So when you're creating your own stuff, see to it that this won't happen, because it's really hard to correct it later on. So you have to get a feel for this, like how to do it. And we're going to go to how to manipulate the strength of these in a moment. Okay, I'm just going to draw 4 basic roots out of this stem. And this is sort of an intuitive process, which I like. Okay, and I'm hoping that this will work on the, because I'm using the Windows version. So with the Mac, it's you press Control and A, and what you get then is the and there is something that is not happening.
You've muted yourself, Carita.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, there was a bit of a problem earlier, so I accidentally muted myself. So Control and A should make it so that you can control these objects. So press Control A firmly, and then you can manipulate the roots and other parts here.
Did you just extrude the roots from the bottom?
Yes, I extruded the roots. So
From
was I
the
muted?
same point. Sorry.
Was I muted for a long time?
No, I just failed to remember what you did.
Okay, I'll show the extrusion in a minute again, because obviously I need some branches here. Right now I'm manipulating the roots by pressing Control A, and you notice that when you press the Control A, you get all these controls in the lower section of the screen, so you don't need to remember everything. Okay, so let's go now to the upper part here, and I'll extrude this by just clicking E. And there we go. And it's too fat, as you can clearly see, so I will make it, click Control A again and make it thinner. And I think this one also needs to be thinner. And then I'd click and drag this elsewhere. Let's make it a little bit more straight. And why is it not doing what I want? Okay. Straight. It's kind of like a small animal that you try to make do what you want, weirdly enough. But this one needs to be fatter. So this is kind of an intuitive process. And I extrude a little bit to make it look more like a trunk or roots, actually. There we go, one extrusion for this. Make it smaller. Then I can also click just G and move this freely. Looks quite a bit like an alien plant, but that doesn't, it's not a big problem at this point. We're going to make more realistic looking trees with more branches in the afternoon. So as I said, this is one technique that you can use for trees or other stuff as well. Okay, I'll extrude a few branches here. So I could, of course, also use the wireframe mode so that I can actually see what I'm doing at each point. And also with the wireframe mode, I could make a couple of more points here in the middle. So I think I'll use Control and R for that, like this. And now I can just move it. Okay. So my goal here is to make it look less like a cactus and more like a tree. And the more I extrude stuff from here, the fatter this place will become. So I need to use Control A couple of times for it. I think I'll extrude one trunk like this. So I think 3 trunks will be nice, and it's still looking like a cactus. So maybe one more. Okay, so now I need to make this thinner. And maybe a couple of more branches to these branches. I have to be careful not to make too much geometry, because I want to make these trees then populate the whole landscape later. That's my goal in the end. Okay. So I'm not saying much because there's actually not that much to say. I'm just making more branches. So if you have questions now, then just ask away. And yeah, this is kind of fun also. Just have to be careful to keep the mesh looking clean. Okay, so maybe this branch needs to be a little bit more over here. So I'll just grab both these vertices and move them. Okay, let's see how it looks like from far away. Yes, it looks like it's staying put. These could be a little bit more upwards, yes, and maybe outwards. Yeah, this could be like a tree that has been cut too much, and maybe in a park. Okay. Okay, and in object mode and with the rendered view, it's right now looking like this. So not bad, but I'm thinking of making maybe 2 copies and making them a little bit different from each other, because like I said, I want to make a landscape and populate it with these trees maybe make this sort of weird looking park. So I'll just click Shift and D to duplicate this, and then I'll need to drag it out of this place. There we go. And I'll rotate it first a little bit, make it a little bit thinner. In many ways thinner, yeah. And I think I go to the edit mode and change it over there so that it doesn't look too much like a copy of the first tree. There we go. Okay, you can see that they are related to each other, but not quite copies of each other right now. And let's make one more copy of this, one more duplicate. And put it a little bit further away and rotate that to and maybe make it squatter like this. Yep. Now I have three a little bit different kinds of trees, and this is my basic tree, and I think now is a good time to save and also to give these trees names. Yeah, I'll give them Finnish names like Puu, that's tree, Puu 1, Puu 2, and Puu 3. Right, and yeah, yesterday when I used Blender, it used to crash a lot. So, well, not a lot, but a little bit. So I better save this now. So I'll save this as tree lesson number 1. Right. So now, now that the basic tree has been made, what I need to do is I want to make some leaves, of course, for the tree. But yeah. So, by the way, I think I'll put all the trees in one collection here in the scene collection. So I'll right click and create a new collection and put my trees over there. It will make my life easier later when I'm making the landscape. And I call the collection board, which means trees. Logically enough. So give your files and give your meshes logical names. Then you will remember better what they are when you come back to them, like maybe after a year or so, or maybe just next week. just a practical tip for naming things. Okay, so I will now apply these modifiers so that that I can't modify them with the skin, with this sort of method anymore, with the skin modifier and so on. So applying modifiers is done from here, apply, and then I will also apply the subdivision surface. And now when I go and look at this tree mesh in edit mode, for instance, you can see that the mesh looks quite clean. And that's also the beauty of this method of modeling. It makes clean, nice looking meshes. So keep that in mind if you use this for making characters, for instance. Okay. However, what I need next is a leaf that I will attach as a hair object around the branches. So I'll need to create that leaf first. So I'll make this whole collection with the trees invisible for a while by just clicking on the collection, and I'll create an object that I will use as the base of the leaf. And now we'll come to the curve objects. So let's see what they look like. So Shift and A. Okay. What is it now? Okay, there's, by the way, my 0 point, where there's also my so-called 3D cursor that will be handy later on. Okay, Shift and A, and right now I'm interested in the curves, not the meshes. So with the curves, well, I have clicked on some add-ons that make these objects. So if you don't see all of these, then don't worry. What we really need is either a circle or a NURBS circle. So I'll create the NURBS circle, and let's see. Let's go to edit mode. Okay, yeah. Yeah, this is good, but I think I'll still make not the NURBS circle, but the curve circle. Yeah, this one. Okay.
What was that add-on you had? Because I had it some in my previous Blender, and I cannot remember what that was, and that was kind of useful add-on.
Okay, so I'm now in the add-ons, and by the way, for the afternoon sessions, what you will need is this add-on anyway, this add curve sapling tree gen. We're going to make trees with this sapling after the lunch break. But these are my add-ons right now. So I have add curve extra objects.
Okay.
So that's probably it. And also I have here with add mesh. Okay, I also have here these extra objects. Okay. So as you can see, there are also other extra meshes if you want to make these sort of architectural objects very quickly, like maybe stairs or whatever. So that might be nice. What else do I have here that's worth mentioning? Well, I'll tell you in the on Thursday how to install the MB Lab, but it's really easy. You can also find that on the web. That's where I found it. But yes, that's what are right now important. But back to the leaf object, which is now the basic object is looking like this. It's just a circle. Okay, so but when I go to the edit mode, I can see that I can edit the anchor points just as I would in Adobe Illustrator. Well, actually not. It's not quite as easy as that. Let's go to the mode where I can see it right from the top. It's not quite as easy as that, actually. But you can go here to, what was it? Control points. Clean up. Set handle type. Well, you can try to manipulate the handle types over here, but well, it's not as practical as in Illustrator. But what you can do also is draw the outlines of the leaf, for instance, in Illustrator or in any vector program, and then import them here if you want to have more control over the shape, and maybe draw it in a more, let's say, intuitive way. But I'm probably trying to make a point here and show you how to create these things here in directly in Blender. So I'm grabbing these points and I click scale in the x-axis, S and X, and that's how I make this more leafy. But what I also need is a stem for the leaf. So I will need a couple more, I need more segments. So let's see if I'm able to create them. Let's have subdivide. Okay, now I have a little bit more control over the points after the subdivision. And S and X for making the stem stemmier. And this here, make it thinner by clicking S and X. So what I'm now after is just a general shape for the leaf. Okay, now it's looking a little bit better. Yeah, I think, well, this is not directly like any leaf from a tree that I know. But right now I'm not looking for realism. Okay, so think I'll go with that for now. And I'll go back to object mode with the leaf. And now the next thing that I want to do, I want to change this into a mesh object. So convert it from, do that from object and convert to. And now it's a curve object, so I want to convert it into a mesh object. And as you can see, it's also possible to convert it into a grease pencil object. So we might, it's also possible to draw, let's say, vector drawing in Illustrator, bring it here, and then make it into a grease pencil object and then animate it, for instance. Anyway, or import a vector drawing and make it here into a mesh and then give it maybe some, well, rigging to move it. But that's all stuff for the animation minor. Okay, I'll turn this into a mesh object and let's see how it looks like now in the edit mode. So now there are quite a lot of points. And by the way, at this point, I will rename this as leaf or lehti 1. And yeah, I still want to make a couple of adjustments here. And I'll show you what kind of adjustments I mean. I just need the move tools. And again, the S and X is good. I'm scaling it in the S axis, X axis, I mean. Then let's have a couple of other points. Move it. So you can see where I'm getting at with this. So to make it more well, organic looking, I will also break the symmetry a little bit and make stuff here that is not mirrored. Yeah, I think this works. Yeah, sorry if this takes a little bit of time. I'm interested in vegetation somewhat, so I like these shapes. Sometimes I see students often who are really good at making, for instance, models of human beings, for people, and then when they are making vegetation, it looks like they are like 7 years old or something. Like an illustrator should know how to make all kinds of objects so that they look interesting, whatever the technique. Okay, some kind of leaf. I'm not quite happy with it, but let's go with that for now. Okay, a little bit of tweaking still. Yeah. Okay, yeah, let's go with that. Like I said, what I now need is to have some sort of fill for the leaf so that I can have like some texture and material for it. This won't do like this, so I click A to well, select all, and then I click just F for filling it up. And now I have some filling. What I also need is go away from edit mode, and I want to have a modifier to give it a little bit of depth. I mean, it's very flat, but leaves are not quite flat. They have a little bit of thickness to them. So I will use, oh, wait a minute, my faces, they're in the way. There's the solidify modifier, so I'll use that for it. And the thickness is very thin now, which is fine. I want to have an even thickness. Thank you very much. And what else? Let's see the normals. High quality normals, yes, and flip them. Well, no. And I will apply this modifier right away. Or maybe I was a little bit too hasty. I'll make a copy of this leaf first. Duplicate. Make this a bit smaller. Okay, and now I'll apply the modifier. And let's give it some sort of material. When you think of leaves, how shiny are they usually? Are they shiny at all? What do you think?
I think they are a bit shiny. It depends on what kind of tree it is. But I think they're a little bit shiny.
Yeah, depends on the tree. Right now we don't have much. They certainly let light through them. That's one thing that we know about leaves. So when you're making your own leaves, so think about these things, and maybe if there are any sort of leaves outside at the point, then take one and look at it. Oh, actually, I do have leaves. I have just a minute. This is a pea. I have grown some peas and other plants that I will put outside in a moment. Okay, so what do you say about this texture and the material? How would you describe them?
It's quite reflective and you can see the light shining through it.
You can see the light shining through it, and there's a little bit of, well, shininess.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so, and if you want to be really, well, if you want to go into detail with your leaves, then you may notice that the backside is not quite the same as the front side, but I will now use just one color here for the leaf and not make anything else here. One reason why I'm doing it is also that well, I want to have these as particle objects, and they will then take a lot of space, and if there's a lot of texture, it will probably crash my computer, and I think I'll eat this leaf. Good. So I'll put the specularity down just a notch, but not completely. And I don't know, maybe a little bit of, no, not transmission, but I can make it a little bit transparent by changing the alpha and then going into the render properties, and I think it was it screen space reflections? Yeah, I think so. I hope that was right. That was a nice snack. So I'll have to check if that was right or not, but it's not that important right now. What's actually more important is how the backside of the leaf is looking, and it's not looking good because it seems that the normals are flipped inside on the on this side, and that's not something that I wanted at all. So I need to adjust the normals by going into edit mode, and it's still, everything is still selected, which is good. So let's see, mesh normals. You remember the normals that yeah, I think I put a video about the normals in Moodle, and so you might want to check that video out if you're really weirded out right now. Okay, recalculate outside. I don't know how much that helped, but I hope it did. So whenever you create new normals with a modifier, then it's good to check that everything is okay. So I mean, when you create new geometry. Okay, before we have a small break, I want to check that the leaf is starting from the right point, because right now, when I try to rotate the leaf, it rotates from a very strange point, but I would like to rotate from here, and that's quite important for the future when I'm putting the leaves on the tree, on the trees. So I need to, what I want to do, the method that I'm going to use is this. I'm going to use this 3D cursor, and this which is now in the 0, 0, 0 point, and Yes, also my leaf is very close to that. So I will move the leaf so that the stem is over here. And after this, I will go to Object and set Origin, and say that I want to have the origin in where the 3D cursor is right now. And look, it works. Now, yoo-hoo!
Sorry, could you show that part again? What did you click?
I'll show it with the other leaf.
Okay.
I knew that somebody would ask. Okay, so let's have this leaf now. And I haven't moved the 3D cursor anywhere. It's still here in the origin point. And if it's not there, you can check it out by clicking N and looking for its properties over here. Let's see, where is it? 3D cursor here. You can set the location of the 3D cursor anywhere you want. And then I'll move my object, my leaf, so that it's origin, the point where I want, no, once you have the point of origin is by the 3D cursor, like this. And then I say that, okay, object, set origin, and origin to 3D cursor. That's it. And now it's there. And this will help me hugely when I'm putting the leaves in the tree. And let's give this a material too. A little bit different in color than the other one. Maybe blue, more bluish. Yeah, but leaves are quite light. There we go. So now I have two leaves that are a little bit different from each other. Maybe make this a bit fatter. Okay, and I'll call this Lehti 2. Leaf 2, and I'll give them a collection of their own. And I call it leaves or lehtet. And there we go. Now it's inside. Both these leaves are inside this collection. And I've been talking like for an hour, so I need something to drink now, some tea. So let's have a like 15-minute break, okay?
Sure.
And I'll stop the recording, and after the break, I'll show how to put the leaves on the tree with the hair. Okay, see you soon.